and welcome to the Espace Tricot podcast.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Naomi, and we are here in 2023 with our first podcast post-Christmas, which already feels like an unimaginably long time ago.
Yes, absolutely. We kind of gave ourselves a little time off for January. We had lots going on, but we're really excited to be back at it and have lots and lots of things to show you.
Yeah, absolutely. As I think some of you may remember from our podcast, from Lisa and Lisa's podcasts, our store is open Tuesday through Sunday. That means that Tuesday through Sunday there is a hustle and bustle around here from 8:30 till 5:30, and that means no podcasting time. So when I think about it, it seems like it's been a really long time, but it's only been a handful of Mondays, and Monday's our chance.
And yeah, obviously we love the natural light where we can show you guys what things actually look like. So daytime is key.
And there is more and more daytime increasingly each day, which is lovely.
Yes. So where do you want to get started today?
How about with what we're wearing?
Okay, deal.
I am feeling so cozy in this gorgeous sample of the Pressed Flowers Shawl by Savory Knitting. This, I think, many of you will already know. It is a cult favorite already in its couple years of existence.
Yeah, and there's tons of variations on it now too. There's a cowl, there's a cardigan.
The cardigan is so beautiful. Released just before Rhinebeck, maybe?
Maybe. It was definitely a really hot number at at Rhinebeck, and we also saw some in New York
at Vogue Knitting Live. Yes. But we knit up the shawl, which was the original manifestation, and it's just it's so much fun. It has this incredible impact from afar. And then when you get up close, you realize how intricate it is, but the effort is minimal with slip stitches. It's definitely a great bang for your buck in terms of like the effect you can get with the effort you put in.
So this one we knit in Feederbrook Farms Entropy DK and Alpakka by Sandnesgarn. So we have, I think, still a couple kits left over.
We have a couple kits. I believe we have some kits in this colorway left. This is Flashpoint with a navy blue alpaca. I'm just bringing it a little closer to the camera so you can see the beautiful subtle shifts in that color changing yarn. And the alpaca has a gorgeous warmth and drape to it, which are a great blend, great match with the bouncy, fluffy BFL. Well, it's not that fluffy. But it has a little bit of body to it. That's it, like almost a handspun effect, thick and thin, that pairs really well with the warmth and drape of alpaca.
And what's cool is we have a class going on this. It's going to go in a couple of days. And what's really nice about this as a project class is that it's a technique, right? Learning this mosaic technique, but also turning out a beautiful FO at the same time is really cool. So this is definitely something where, you know, you're going to get the practice you want in the mosaic technique, and then you're going to be able to knit. It's going to unlock all these other patterns for you. Absolutely. And in the meantime, you're getting something gorgeous.
Yeah, and at the same time, maybe you're focusing on learning a new technique, but the structure itself is quite familiar and simple, so you're not breaking your head over two new things at once. It is a pretty regular top-down shawl. I haven't read the pattern recently, but I believe a classic sort of 4 increases every right side row type triangular shawl. And it just caught my eye while I was looking for an extra layer.
With your outfit today.
That's also what I thought. I didn't even wear this outfit intending to wear this shawl. But I've been falling in love with these brighter greens lately.
When we saw a lot of these bright greens on the streets in New York, and it inspired both of us, that and like lavender and lilac. So
definitely,
those are the hot colors.
We're going to have on our table a bit here. Steph and I were in New York last weekend for Vogue Knitting Live, which was great fun. And yes, at least half the fun for me is always the street style, the knitting style, the projects, noticing what a lot of people are wearing, what a lot of people are working on, but also just getting out of the neighborhood, heading to a different area, seeing what are people wearing in Soho, what are people wearing in the Lower East Side. Washington Square Park was full
of people
on this random 15-degree day, and it's just so much fun to get inspiration from what you're seeing in the streets.
Yeah, what people are actually wearing.
Yeah, when they're not wearing black puffer coats all winter long.
So speaking of wearing, I'm wearing 2 Naomi knits. This is the TBD shawl, which is Naomi's design using Shirley Bryan's Deconstructed Fade sock, along with some knitting for Olive Mohair and merino. And we actually just restocked these kits. So if you've been hankering for
Hungering.
Can I do hunkering?
Hunkering.
If you've been hunkering for this pattern.
Hunker down with this pattern this weekend.
I really like it. We have the original colorway and some other colorways in stock right now. And I love how this goes with my other amazing Naomi knit, which is, this is the Rose cardigan
Making me blush.
by Andrea Mowry. And this is a sample that...
I think you should stand up at this moment.
Okay.
I think people in
Need
the
to see
comments
it?
are going to be wanting that.
Okay, so Naomi originally knit this as a sample for her hand-dyed line Humble Knit back in the day. And it was hanging around, and she's like, hey, it's not my thing. Do you want to try it? So I was like, yeah. But one thing I did find is these cardigans that don't fasten, I find them frustrating. They're always falling off, or they're like slipping off my shoulder. So at first I thought I would try to put a zipper in. Didn't sit nice. So in the end, I just mattress stitched it. I found an Urso yarn in my stash that was a similar enough color that you don't see it. And I just mattress stitched up until I liked the V-neck.
Beautiful.
And now I wear it all the time. Like, it's probably my go-to knit. I wear it at least a couple times a week.
I love it so much. Maybe you have a finished object, a finished knit that's been sitting around for a while because it didn't quite fit perfectly. It didn't quite fit the way you wanted it to as soon as it came off the needles. I always think it's worth returning to those. A few weeks later, a few months later, a few years later. This I made in 2018. And I loved the process of knitting it. But yeah, it slipped off my shoulders. I think I probably knit a slightly too big size. This sweater did come up when I was doing a sweater structure class, when I was doing virtual classes. People started chatting about this type of cardigan as often having common fit issues, and one of the big ones is falling off your shoulders. And often that's because we look at the ease of the bust, but we don't think about the shoulders, or maybe we don't know what the shoulders are going to fit like. Maybe those measurements aren't in the pattern. And we sort of overemphasize or maybe knit a size too big, and that's often why these cardigans, which are designed to be open so they don't need a ton of ease, because you're getting ease from the fact that there's 2 inches in the middle that it's not closing. If you're between sizes, or if you're not sure, I would say
go down.
Without being a blanket statement,
Yeah.
because I don't want to give you bad advice, but I think generally this type of open cardigan where it's going to sit on your shoulders and not fasten, lean towards the lower amount of ease. Not necessarily negative, but...
Yeah. But then on top of that too, like
Yeah.
there's just little differences in the structures of our bodies, which is,
Yeah,
I have these big shoulders,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of things that maybe I'm going to be able to wear, and this is staying put on me in a way that if you have narrow shoulders or shoulders that tend to go down.
And I think
it's
I
still gonna
tried
be an
this on
issue.
and it still wasn't quite
Right.
right. But I went on a tangent from myself there in terms of how great it is to come back to those projects that maybe have bad vibes around them because they weren't what you wanted after all that effort and all that money of the yarn that you put in. But there's still something special about them. So, it's not something to just get rid of. It's always worth going back and seeing if you can make a little change to just make it wearable, either for you or for your bestie.
Yeah, I mean, basically I wore this in New York, and I also wore the vest you made from the Stained Deer pattern. I'll wear that on a podcast at some point, and like I'm basically walking around Vogue knitting and be like, oh, I love what you're wearing. Like, my friend made it. I can knit, I swear. But sometimes you need that mental break where you're just like so frustrated with the experience. You can't do it in that moment.
Yeah.
But after a couple of months of it hanging around, you can handle it.
You have that energy back again, and then you have a brand new sweater because after like an hour's work.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm obviously delighted that Naomi decided to bring this in and offer it up, because I'm wearing it constantly. And, we have a store sample of this pattern as well in beautiful Artful Belle, which is similar to the Cognac by Tricot, which is right here. So I'm thinking I might try the same thing on it, although it's a larger size even than this. So I'm not sure if it'll have the same effect. And obviously with store samples, we get a little bit more like, well, that's a big mod.
Yeah.
But I want to tell the world about this mod because I know a lot of people have made this sweater. Maybe this is the solution for them too.
Absolutely. And it's not that big a mod.
No, it's like...
Even if you use mattress stitch, if you don't like it at the end, just like unzip it back out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Give it a try.
I just love to see it being worn because I'm sure a lot of us feel this sense of like guilt seeing these beautiful things in our closet, but like putting them on, like it's never the thing that you choose to wear that day. I put that thing on so many times and then just changed my mind. And I just love to see it being worn because they need to be, our knits need to be worn.
I'm happy to help you like 2 to 3 times a week by doing that. So yeah, that's what we're wearing. But we have some other, we have some whips. Do we want to whip it?
Yes, let's whip it.
Okay.
So, what have you got on the go? What's in your bucket?
Well, so first of all, this is, we'll do a little review of our mud living, mood. Are we calling it mood or mud?
I thought.
Mood stuff, but this is the Saturn XL, and I just borrowed it for a second to put my, it's very dramatic like this too.
Yeah.
So this is a full-on impulse cast on, which I don't usually do as much.
No, that's very unlike you.
And I really thought that the figurative yokes, where it's a picture of something, here, let's put it down actually.
Sure.
Were not for me, but it turns out I just needed to find one that was relevant to my interests. So this is the Cowgirl crop by Maral Mokri, who goes by Knitting Ruined My Life, which might be the best Instagram handle ever. And it's little cowboy hats and little cowboy boots. And it's just a beautiful colorwork yoke. So I'm just at the point now where I am adding some short rows. The original pattern doesn't have short rows in it. It's much more of a t-shirt style, but I'm gonna knit it as at least 3/4 length sleeves and probably add some length to it to be more of a regular sweater. So this is definitely, it's a really super well written pattern. It's really easy to follow. It's a challenge for me because I struggle with long floats. I've never been good at maintaining my tension over long floats. So you can see there's some sections here where there's really like, 9, 10, 11 stitches.
Okay.
So I'm learning how to catch. It's been good. Like I've been teaching myself some nice techniques to help me out with this. So really I've done the fun part now and I have to do all the stockinette. I might even add some cute little details around the sleeves. I was thinking about duplicate stitching a boot on each sleeve.
That would be really cute, just one boot.
Yeah. So my discovery of this designer came from I was just scrolling Instagram and this beautiful design popped up called the Kilim Cowl. And we kitted that up right away. I was like, we have to. And of course the colors that I wanted sold out. So I was like, I wanted to knit that. But when I went to check out the profile of the designer, this was there and I was like,
yeah,
I'm definitely going to be watching. What's really cool is just finding a designer at the beginning of their career, because she has maybe 4 or 5 patterns in her portfolio and they're all awesome. And I'm like, I can't wait to see where this is going. And just, being super excited to discover someone new. So
This is so you.
This is so me. I have a little plaid shirt I just ordered off Poshmark that's coming in these kinds of colors. So what I'm using is Deep Stash for sure. This is Julie Asselin Leizu DK in Naturel. And this is Tanis Fiber Arts, and I'm talking the little balls that I had were this big.
Aww.
So it actually starts with a blue and then goes into a green, but they're close enough
so
that you
precious.
can't really tell.
You can't really tell. Look at the beautiful variegation.
And then there's some Kindred Red, little bits and bobs left over from other projects. And this was an Etsy purchase called Supernova was the name of the colorway, and it was really, really hard to get. So this is save those little bits and bobs because you never know when they're going to come up. This was literally maybe 60 yards of most of these colors.
It's surprising how little you need for some of these yokes.
Yeah.
And you're inspiring me with this whole figurative yokes based on your interests thing, because there are a couple that have caught my eye in the past that are coffee cups and acorns, and there's a beautiful one that's spinning wheels all around it. Have you seen that one?
No.
I'll find it for you and I'll link it below. It's absolutely beautiful, Sleeping Beauty spinning wheels all the way around it, and this is encouraging me to go back and wear my hobbies on my chest.
Yeah, I'm a little bit having a moment right now where I'm getting into cowboy boots in a bigger way. You know that thing when you discover something and suddenly it's your whole personality? It's well, I was on the Reddit the other day and I've discovered that what I have here is a snip toe. So I'm wearing my boots. You can't see them, but I wore my boots to go with us, and I just ordered some other ones. So I hopefully will get through this.
Some other ones on top of the ones that you're stretching?
No, just the ones that are I'm stretching some. And I also ordered a proper boot stretcher. I'm getting into it in the way that people are into gaming and cars.
Or knitting.
So I'm gonna get through this phase. I promise I'll stop talking about cowboy boots all the time in a couple months. So that's my whip. I'm really excited about it. I have some secret knitting going on too, but this is the one that's kind of for show at the moment.
There's a few exciting things going on that we can't
quite talk about yet.
We really want to talk about them, and it won't be long. But in that vein, in the meantime, I also have a bit of this wasn't an impulse cast on. I was thinking I looked a lot, long and hard for this, for exactly the right pattern to knit with these yarns. I had already started seeing lilac appearing in Pinterest, in like street fashion that always pops up on my Instagram algorithm page, and this palette of like lilac and clover is feeling really fresh for this year, and I'm loving it. And I wanted something floaty and lacy for spring, and it coincided with testing a new colour for Bon Tricot, which I'm feeling really good about. This is how it came out on Mohair. I think it's a little pale, and I tossed 6 skeins into this dye bath, but I usually dye in 4 skein batches. So I noted the recipe down faithfully. Thank you, past Naomi. And I think I'm just going to put the 4 skeins in the same recipe, so it has just a little more oomph with the 100 grams less. So that's something fun that I'm also testing on other bases when I'm not producing and dyeing. And would you believe it, it pairs really quite nicely with Knitting for Olive Unicorn Purple. This just jumped out at me. This one's a little bit more blue. This one has sort of a warmer grey undertone, but they're turning out really nicely together. And so I see this as kind of a like professionally useless knit right now, because we currently have none of the Merino and Unicorn Purple. This is like
not the finished color.
It's not the finished color, and this is a pattern that's not even in English. So I'm gonna now give you some tips if you really like this pattern of how you might go about knitting it and try to reclaim some purpose to this sample. It is the Pizza Bluse from Knitting for Olive. It's available in German, Danish, and Norwegian. So I got by all right with Google Translate and Mona.
So you went for the German version?
Yeah. Well, I mean, on Ravelry you get all of them.
Oh, right.
But I looked into the German one.
So would you say if someone wanted to knit this and they buy like the German version, or maybe they have connections with someone who can translate one of the other languages, running it through Google Translate and know your chart?
Yes. So it is, the instructions are charted. I'm just going off the chart. If you're familiar with top-down raglan constructions, it's pretty easy to figure out this pattern, because it's pretty easy to tell how many stitches there are for the front and the back and the sleeves, and then you're increasing every other row like a pretty standard raglan. I think I would hesitate to try to Google Translate a pattern a bit more complicated than this, and I'm really familiar with raglans, having knitted and designed several. It also doesn't have short rows. It's super simple.
There you go. Not professionally useless.
Yeah, not professionally useless. And I think it will be pretty this spring.
Yeah, and you're almost done. It's amazing.
Well,
You've
I
been
think
speeding along.
You know me. I love a crop, but I think I will knit this a little bit longer. I'd like it to have a bit more drape around like the upper hips, and maybe like French tuck it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
love that idea.
But I will try it on as I go. That's the beauty of top down. I was going to bring along a TKB cord because we have a fresh restock delivery, so that I could like show you how I try it on, but maybe that's for an Instagram post later.
Yeah, I have mine on a TKB, but we've shown them a lot. Show these are great.
Yeah, it was more just to show how I use a TKB cord to try a sweater on.
I see.
Pop a TKB cord on each end of your needles, ease it out gently like Steph did, and you can try it on.
I'll show it real quick before we put
Since
this
I
away.
brought it up.
So yeah, I have a magenta TKB cord in here, and I put one end on one needle, the other one's way deep in here, and so that just gives me the stretch I need, the extra room to be able to pop this over my head, which I won't do because of my fancy ponytail. And then when I'm ready to knit again, the big lesson is don't pull, push your needle tips out. So I find my needle tip and I'm gonna push it rather than pulling on the cord, and I can like cozy it up here. But if you're worried about it falling off, that's really, and that's true for like when you're magic looping, when you're doing anything, always push your needles out. Don't pull.
Pull your cord.
Yeah. So yeah, and then when I get my tips out, sorry, that sounded funny. I just would remove them here, and I can start knitting.
Yeah. So that's effectively what I would do with the body stitches if I wanted to try it on right now. But what I will show you, because these are also extremely useful, are the stitch stoppers I'm using. And I was never really a stitch stopper gal until these came along.
Pass me one, I'll go take it up to the camera.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are from Camp Fiber yarns, and they're these cool silicone stitch stoppers. If you have really tiny needles, you could put two needles in one, but for most of the time I use one on each end.
Yeah.
And they're super cute, and they're big enough you don't lose them, I find, too, is really nice.
Yeah, they kind of stand out in your Notions pouch. I think, I checked on the website, I think we say they go up to 10 millimeters. That will definitely depend on the tip design of your needle. These are Cowgirl, standard, not too sharp, not too blunt. The blunter your needle, the smaller size will fit in here. The sharper your needle, maybe you can get larger needles in here. But most of the knitting I'm doing is somewhere between like 3.5, 3 and 8. So
yeah, up to an 8 millimeter.
Yeah.
I would be pretty confident that these are going to be no problem. Yeah, they're just super useful.
Absolutely. So yeah, and amazingly, this is the one pair I've ever got, and I still have them.
Same. I have I don't lose them, and I find that's really nice.
It obviously would be super useful to have a few more pairs. But as I say, I never really got into the habit of using stitch stoppers, but I'm really enjoying it with a project like this, especially when there's a bit of lace in the mix, just to make sure that I can pick up my project ready to go instead of having to accidentally pick up a few stitches that slipped off in the night or whatever.
Yes, agreed.
So
cool.
that
Well,
is
I'm looking forward to seeing
my beautifully worn in Hide and Hammer bag. We've talked about these several times before. I'm just mentioning it because we've restocked the plain colors as well of these. I'm looking at them now. Mustard, berry, midnight blue, all the beautiful classics. If the Hide and Hammer bag is a favorite of yours, like it is of us, one of ours, yes. We have several options for you, and it is holding this entire sweater with ease, plus like extra balls of yarn. Definitely goes everywhere with me. So that's that. So excuse the break, it suddenly looks a little different around here. It got very stormy and slushy outside, and we needed to put some lights on, even though it's 2 o'clock or something.
Well, hopefully it'll pass,
Yeah.
but in the meantime, we're warm and cozy.
That's it.
But perfect opportunity to kind of make a switch over to some new products.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are from Mood or Mood Living. This is a Danish company. We've been looking at their products for a long time and decided to go for it and bring them in.
They do not disappoint.
They're fabulous.
Beautiful. They have a whole great explanation, really perfectly written, wonderful photos on their website about where their products and their fabrication and production comes from. Designed in Denmark, but made in India, from sustainably sourced leather and with EU compliant factories and manufacturing. So if that's important to you, it is certainly in my mind and in the minds of many of our customers when we look at new products.
Make sure that we know what we're getting into. So we know that we think they started out in hairdressing and barber sort of storage and organization, but they quickly branched out into other sort of specific crafts. So they have stuff for embroidery, crochet, and knitting. So we chose just a few products to get started with them, but we're really interested in what you like. If you are something you've had your eye on, please shout it out in the comments. We will look at bringing stuff in.
You can really tell that they started from a standpoint of tools for and storage for crafters.
Yes.
Too, of all types of crafting, and rather than moving from, say, handbags into craft tools, they moved
like the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was really the one product that I really, really wanted. They're called the Evita Project Box. So this is the Evita, and this is the Evita XL, and it's obviously an adorable little box. But when you remove the lids, it has like a little tassel on it that acts as a fastener, so you can loosen that up. Oops, sorry. And it allows them to open up sort of in this expanded way.
Yeah, this one opens up, the smaller one opens up basically completely flat. The XL, you still end up with this great containing bucket
Yes.
going on.
So the XL was really like for me because I never knit on anything small. So this is definitely great for sweater quantities. And you can see that each panel on the side has different storage options. So there's some elastic, sort of needle-sized pouches here. There's large-scale pouches. There's one that's divided into two. So scissors, extra needles, cords, pattern, anything that you're thinking you might need to have. Snacks can go in here. And then what's cool is that when you're finished, or if you need to put things away, you can use this tassel to close it, and the lid goes on, and now your stuff is safe from little fingers, little paws, and you have this beautiful box that can like live in your living room and fit with your decor.
I love that. We've spoken about it before, but when you may not need incredible storage for your knitting, but it's nice, but it also really does help keep things contained. And for me, it really helps me feel that my knitting is something that can enter into my home and not disrupt things. I don't have plastic bags everywhere when my husband wants to sit on the couch. Not that I need to make way for anybody, but it just does help in the sense of comfort and relaxation in my knitting when I know that it is creating a beautiful home around me for everybody who shares that home with me as well.
Yeah, I think the big thing is like, some of my projects get big, like if I'm working on crazy colorwork stuff, and then I'm also doing math and I've got paperwork everywhere, I definitely feel that like, how other people's mess is visible and yours is invisible. Like I'll have that fresh eyes moment of kind of being like, wow, like there is nowhere to eat on this dining table because it's all my knitting project and it's been invisible to me. So I feel like having things like this also does help me sort of recognize that things have to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep track of all your stuff. You won't be losing one ball of yarn that's in a different storage place.
I can still do that.
You need room to keep all of your yarn for your project together.
Yeah.
That is what I've discovered.
So in the same vein as the project box, this one is called the Lexi, and it reminds me of like a train case.
So glamorous.
So I really love it. It's sort of this boxy, zippered thing, and it has inside separated pockets so you can keep different yarn or stuff that's in progress and other things that are for later. Needle slots, zippered pockets. With all of these, the best thing, if you're interested, is to go and look on our website where you can see nice close-up photos that are perfectly lit. Especially with the black, I think it's harder to see. But I love this for home, too.
Yeah, I love the idea of this because I have a project coming up that's in Tasha. And having the two separate containers inside is just extra helpful for keeping your yarns. I mean, you cannot knit in Tasha without twisting your yarns, but you can at least help yourself by laying them out neatly around you. We have a pretty good selection there of, of course, you'll see what we have in stock. If anything isn't in stock, do click notify me because we are planning to keep ordering from Mood. For example, this bag that I took to Vogue, which I really feel is the best of both handbag and knitting bag. This is the Heba, and it's currently out of stock. But I do encourage you to take a look at the pictures. The Mood website even has a little video that's really useful. And I find those are great when you're looking at making an investment in a beautiful piece like this that will just keep getting better with time. I'm looking forward to how this breaks in. And I do feel like having it so well designed for knitters but also looking like a handbag is a really great way to make that investment, because I know that I can take this to the grocery store, I can take this on a plane like I did at Vogue. I had all my travel documents well sorted in its like 11 pockets, and still take it to knit night, and it just becomes part of my daily routine. So that's why I really love the like handbag style line of their products.
Yeah.
Really well thought out for knitters, but also just fit into your outfits, fit into your wardrobe.
Well, and this one can be a handbag, although I think, it's more designed to be a project bag. This is the Saturn XL, which is, I think their bestseller. They have lots of video of this.
Yeah.
So same kind of vibe as the train case, the Lexi, where it's got the zipper and this. So if you don't want to zip it, you don't have to, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, some people don't love a zipper.
You can also zip half the side.
Yeah.
If that would be helpful for you for some reason.
So then also little mini pocket, and then interior pockets and exterior pockets.
Yeah, these are actually pockets.
So
obviously it needs breaking in because it's new leather in
exactly.
it. Yeah.
And it has a shoulder strap as well, so you can wear it as a crossbody or a handbag, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the big project-based ones.
And
But then we also got a couple that are specifically for holding your tools, so needles, crochet hooks, things like that.
we tried to go with the ones that would do the most for the most amount of people. Many of the moods case lines are specifically for crochet hooks, which is great because very few people are making crochet hook specific cases.
Yeah.
And a lot of them would hold shorter DPNs but not longer ones. These could do pretty much all of those things: 8-inch DPNs, crochet hooks, interchangeable needle set tips, and you can pop your cables in these two poppered pockets. You don't call them poppers, no, snaps, they're snaps.
I love it when I find out some new vocabulary thing that's different.
And then bigger pockets here as well, perfect for a pattern, scissors, notions, whatever. This is the Trondheim, and it totally reminds me of those amazing CD cases that you'd like spend hours flicking through in the back of the car on a road trip.
I think we still have some.
You should like never get rid of your albums.
And then this one I think is great for interchangeable needles. Obviously, it's no Stephanie Earp case, but it exists and it's for sale, which is unlike my cases, which I have not actually made any lately, and I don't know when I will.
And they do different things. They're holding, like, they emphasize different aspects. You've got
Yes.
a lot of points, pockets for your tips here, but then there are also bigger pockets in the back here, so maybe it would fit like more notions as well as tips than like your case was designed for.
And then these can be for your cords,
And it's a big
but
zip
there's also
pocket.
a huge zip pocket here for like
Anything.
anything you could think of. And then what's nice about this is that it folds in half and rolls up
Really
and
compact.
becomes more like a needle roll.
Yeah.
So I really like that. It's going to keep everything inside, keep them safe. And so yeah, we like these both because I think depending on what you have, this can work for you with different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, check them out more thoroughly on the website and let us know if there's something you think we should have.
Okay, let's take another look at some more new yarns.
Yeah, so
This one I'm really excited about.
So this actually is also a new store sample. This is the Belfi hat. We talked about it in the gift guide as well because we had a kit that we were doing in Lang Yarns, which is a merino, but this time we got it in cashmere.
Even more indulgent. This is Nordic Yarns Eco Cashmere, 50% recycled cashmere and 50% virgin cashmere in a fingering weight, 246 yards in 50 grams. So a really
great.
generous yardage for a fingering weight yarn. We knit it pretty densely in this hat, but as many of you know from experience, fingering weight yarns can be incredibly versatile. And this yarn, cashmere, we found so far really quite resistant to pilling, which is something to worry with cashmere.
Yeah, especially with the recycled aspect, we were a little bit like, well, let's make sure we knit it up and test it out. So we had actually, you brought back a skein from a trip, right?
Yeah, I found it in England in DK weight, but we thought fingering weight would really be more versatile and perhaps more in line with the type of projects we imagine knitting in cashmere, really delicate, elegant things. I mean, we've got beautiful pops of color in this palette, but there are also these gorgeous classic neutrals, like with this hat that is just go anywhere, perfect gift.
This is so...
It would be super fun
Yeah,
in a bright color too.
Yeah.
One scheme did that. So when I brought back the DK, we loved the feel of it, but just thinking about the projects that people would knit with cashmere and at the price point of 100% cashmere, which as you can imagine is luxurious, we thought fingering weight would be the most versatile and appeal to the most kinds of projects.
But I think what's nice is having that we really got the time with the yarn to make sure that it did have that ability to hold up. So we are really happy to have this and we'll be standing behind it. We've already restocked it once.
Yes.
And we will continue to get it in. It's very cool to have it.
Yeah, I think already we've seen people have ordered quantities for sweaters, which I think would be gorgeously indulgent, but there is so much you can do with just one or two schemes, especially with such a gorgeously soft fiber. You want it near at your neck, you want it on your tender forehead.
I was thinking mittens would be lovely
too. You want to show it off, you want to be seen, you want to make the most of the projects you're knitting with it. So little shawlettes and
like all those are very hot right now.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be a perfect idea for that.
Yeah, so really indulgent.
Yeah, a nice palette, like not a huge palette, but a really, really thoughtful one. And we're really excited to have it on the shelves. And it's like flying out already. So
Yeah. And it's gorgeously soft, but it's that softness of expensive, good quality cashmere rather than like the overbrushed supermarket cashmere sweater.
It definitely, you can feel that this is going to last. And I think that's really important when you're at a luxurious price point. You know, you don't want something that's going to fall apart. So we're excited about it.
Absolutely. And just, they've done a really great job getting the recycled element into it. It's an all-around fantastic yarn. I can't wait to knit more with it.
Yeah, we gave this sample to Emilia and she said it was like knitting with a strand of cloud.
Yeah.
Cool. And I think we have kits with this as well.
Yeah, the Belfie we have in kits.
Which, you know, it is one skein, but it gets you the pattern and the yarn together. And then we have another hat.
Yes, this isn't really a new yarn. We'll just be restocking it increasingly over the coming weeks because we weren't able to get the base of our Happy 4-ply from our own hand-dyed Bond Tricot line for a little while, but the mill delivered some more, which is great fun because I love dyeing this yarn. It takes the colours on its heathered base so beautifully. So before Christmas, I think it was, I cast on the Robin Beanie by Sari Nordland, somewhat as an impulse, but a very sensible impulse because I've been wearing this hat non-stop. One skein of mohair, one skein of 4-ply, or one skein of a DK yarn, one strand of a DK yarn.
Can I unroll it and show how cool
Yeah,
it is?
absolutely. This is a great design and it's so hot right now. Like this style of hat, I really feel like I totally nailed the bridge between like handmade and on trend. It's a great design. It starts top down, which I found absolutely fantastic for making sure I got exactly the right length and fit for me. That big wide brim is really in right now, but with my smaller proportions I ended up knitting about 3 inches less than Sari did, but you would have had enough with one skein of each to knit the full length. And yeah, I just find it really cozy to have 3 layers of this fabric on your ears. It's completely winterproof.
Yeah, it's great.
Highly recommend.
You look so cute when you're in it too. Okay, so another store sample that also is a new yarn. This is the Ursa sweater by Jacqueline Sislak, and this is the Snefnug Natur. Snefnug. Anyway, there's like Natur is the undyed.
They're listed separately on our website, but they are interchangeable.
Yeah.
Snefnug Natur is just with undyed fibers.
Yeah. So we did this with Snefnug held with a strand of Lyrico, which is...
I'll bring this closer to the camera.
Yeah, do that. Which is a ribbon yarn. Very romantic. It's the Louisa Harding yarn, and I think that I would say her line generally is very romantic yarns. And you would usually see this as a summer yarn. But we thought it would be really cool to try holding it together with this Camerose Snefnug to get this cool sort of tweedy effect. And I love how it came out. So it's quite bulky. I mean, this would be great for projects that are calling for like 3 stitches per inch type of thing. And boy, did it knit up quickly.
Yeah.
And just beautiful. And so we have a few different colors of the Lyrical. You could pair it with different, we chose the white just to really show off, but you could go with something gray and it's going to be a little bit more subtle. It's just really cool. And I know there's sort of like a little bit of pushback against the constant stranding of yarns, and I get it because it's obviously going to change your budget if you're carrying extra yarns together. But I do think there's something to be said for like seeing what happens when you put 2 things together that maybe you wouldn't have expected. And this is a case where that really won, and I'm super excited about it. I'd like to do more with it.
This really did come from a place of like, what if? With like pushing the possibilities of this yarn, which is listed as a summer yarn. It's cotton, acrylic and polyamide, and as I showed, it is very much a ribbon, a tape. I think would be super cute for like summer tank tops, but we got excited about it in October or November when we discovered it, and so you really want to just find ways to use yarns all year round and in a versatile array of projects. It does change the texture of the Snefnug more than stranding with lace weight would do, You can kind of feel the crispness of the fabric in there. Not to say it's itchy by any means at all.
No, it's more that it adds structure.
Interesting texture, and it does add structure, yes.
But yeah, I just think it's
just a great fun effect that you wouldn't get with any single yarn on its own.
And I think also one of the things that draws me to hand knitting, or has always, is the idea that like doing something you haven't seen before, or something you couldn't find on a store shelf. And I get that some people are much more about like, well, I want to create something I would see on a store shelf, but it'll fit me. And I love that too. But this is the kind of thing where like putting these two yarns together, I've never really seen anything that looks quite like that on a store shelf.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love this. And I think
really
in the
fun.
summer we'll do something else with the Lyrico to show what it does as a summer yarn as well. But you can find it on our site. And if you're thinking about doing something like this and you want some advice on color pairings, just let us know. We'd be very happy to do that.
So one last new yarn. The Kathmandu from Queensland collection. I've started seeing more Queensland collection yarns around. The company itself, I believe, has been around for a long time, and it may be familiar to you. We have ordered a couple of their summer yarns as well that are looking good, but we really loved the feel of this tweed DK for cozy winter projects. It has a good amount of silk in it, 85% wool, 10% silk, and 5% cashmere, 100 grams, and a really fantastic yardage of 295 yards in 100 grams. That's high for a DK. Usually you're looking at like 260.
Yeah.
And you can feel the elements of all those fibers in it without any one of them dominating. It's tweedy without looking overly full of multicolored nips. It's soft from the cashmere, but the large wool content help keeps the price point at like
and it's good. It's got some good crunch to it. I would say crunch is overstating. It has body enough to hold texture and like, to really be able to see your stitches. And we have some things to show in that.
So when we had our trunk show from the Liner 16 magazine with Yona and Julie just before Christmas, I absolutely fell in love with the cameo vest, which is, I will link below as well to the Ravelry details. It is still only available in Liner 16, but I believe we have some copies of the magazine. This is a little cardigan vest that I cast on basically that night, and I'm going slower on it. I'm not rushing myself because we have lots of other exciting things that I'm working on, and the pattern isn't yet available as an individual download, so it feels a little bit more like, you know, I'm telling everybody about it, but you have to get the magazine, which is really worth it. But, you know, so many of us do get liner that I'm sure many of you have this in your libraries at this point. So I just love how the stitch definition is coming through with this tweed.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous.
And it's a great little pattern.
And this is what we paired with Feederbrook for the Kilim cowl kits that we have. So if you want to try it out, and that's something that you could try, where it's 2 skeins of this and 2 skeins of the Feederbrook, and you get this beautiful colorwork cowl. But this reminds me a little bit of what called out to me is it reminds me a little bit of Rowan felted tweed.
Yes, that's true.
Which unfortunately has just gotten beyond our ability to
source.
This has a little bit of that same color and feel to it. So if that's a yarn you've enjoyed working with, I think you'd enjoy this as well. So they have tons of patterns.
Yeah.
I think originally it was an Australian company. And so you don't see it as much in North America, but like they have beautiful books of gorgeous cabled sweaters and all kinds of stuff. So if you're curious, go and look for them on Ravelry as a source as well. Queensland. Yeah.
We need an actual drum roll for this. I feel like I could do it on the yarn. It's like little drums in the yarn.
So this yarn was a huge surprise hit for us a few months ago. To the point where it never made it into the store. It never made it onto a podcast. Basically, we put it up on Instagram and sold all of it like 20 minutes later.
Within an hour.
Yeah. So,
which never happened.
Never. It's called Make It Tweed, and this one is called Make It Rainbow. And we're filming this, not even sure if we're going to include it in the podcast. If you're seeing this, it's because we decided to risk it. We have more on the way to us, but we really feel like it might be a little bit of like Enter Thunderdome to try and get some, because we have, I think, over 150 people on the Notify Me email subscription. So once we enter this, it's going to go a little wild on the server there. I feel for people. I wish there was something we could do, but we really can't. Like it's just how it is. How it is. But it is a really exciting yarn. If you get the chance to pick some up, it basically is a stranding yarn that you hold alongside another yarn to turn any yarn into a tweed. So the Make It Tweed is actually a little bit lighter in not just color, but also in thickness. So it's really great with lighter toned yarns. And then the Make It Rainbow is a slightly heavier yarn. I mean, we're talking very, very slight difference.
The yardage is there's a surprisingly higher yardage in the Make It Tweed, given how they basically make the same fabric.
Yeah, because we're talking, it's like thread weight, basically. It's obviously, it's a really cool yarn. I get why everybody wants to get their hands on it, and hopefully we'll be able to keep bringing it in, and eventually everyone will get the chance to try it. But in the meantime, may the odds be ever in your favor.
So just a couple new things left, and then I have some exciting planned projects I want to chat about.
Yes, I would like to hear about those.
We finally found a solution to the age-old question of a good worsted weight, superwash, easy care, 100% preferably merino wool that is also a good price point. And this is, it feels like the holy grail of the yarn store owners' stocking search, but we found it. This is Laine du Nord Dolly Maxi. And this is a super soft, really plump worsted weight yarn that's just going to be the right answer to so many projects. Baby blankets, accessories, anything you're gifting to anyone of any age.
Yeah, especially when you're knitting for people who are just not going to hand wash. Mm-hmm. We have our Lang 120 and Lang 150 in the DK and fingering range that are those yarns that we have people who, that's the yarn they come to us for. We've had it forever. We will always have it, but we didn't have a worsted weight version. And so this is what we found. We had asked Mona to do some like real hunting around and bring us lots of options, and this was definitely the winner. Great palette, and it's a multi-plied yarn, so tons, like there's quite a few plies. If you start untwisting it, there's a lot there. If you ever knit with Zara or Zarina back in the day when those were hot yarns, this is similar.
Drops Big Merino was similar.
Yeah.
So we do recommend blunter needles to avoid splitting the yarn as you knit, but we've sampled it and we really didn't find that to be a problem. And I knit really smoothly.
I love that it's in balls already as well, which is like so much the time when you're looking to do these kinds of projects, you just want to get going, right? You just want to go. You don't have to skein this up. It's ready to go. And I noticed you brought the chevron blanket.
I did, just because it would be such an easy sub for one of the iconic Espace Tricot patterns originally designed by Melissa many, many years ago, the baby chevron blanket. This is a second sample we knit up in Manos del Uruguay. Maxima? No. Yes. No.
Not Maxima. Oh wait, there's a tag. Alegria.
Yeah. In these mini skein kits that we had for a little while. And this just shows how versatile this pattern is. We changed up the striping sequence completely, and it's one of the easiest mods you can make. We're not changing the stitch count, the dimensions, the gauge remain the same, but you can really play around with color. And when the palette is this big and this bright and fun, it's just, that's when part of the fun of the project is just getting started and choosing the
colors and figuring out. So like, especially this project is so popular as a gift for a new baby on the way. And what's cool is you can really customize it. You can go super neutral and do that sort of, dress your children in beige and gray, or you can do these bright pops that match a decor or a favorite color. With grandkids, often there's like, she loves pink, and it's like, okay, well, you can have every single stripe be a different color of pink.
So we're excited about that. We're excited to see what people do with it. And this is, well, when we sometimes think of like talking about something as a baby blanket yarn, that immediately relegates it to being somehow less prestigious or something. For us knitters, I really don't, and I don't want to say guilty of that kind of thinking, but I definitely often find just more exciting and characterful and quirky yarns outside of the baby blanket worsted weight range. But this I genuinely would really enjoy knitting with and wearing.
And I think it's, it's obviously, the palette is sophisticated enough. If you want to knit yourself a sweater in this, you're going to find what you need.
Absolutely.
And I do think it's not just for kids, but one of the reasons we wanted it is that our customers were asking for it. So it's like, well, rather than telling you to hold 2 strands of Merino 150 together.
Or knit everything with Baroque vintage when you want to give your children something luxurious, or your
wool.
mum something that's a really like luxurious soft treat, but you don't want to make her hand wash it or bring it back to you to do the laundry.
That is key, because you hear about that sometimes. Yes. So yeah, we're really excited to have that on the shelves, and it's been beautifully arranged in the shop as well, and you can check out all the colors online. And
so last thing, again, not really new, but new news for our happy 4-ply is, now I'm hesitant to even undo this because I speeded up.
I know, it's so pretty, but you got to.
We've got these mini skeins, and so these mini skeins are 25 grams each, which works out to about 109 yards per mini skein. So basically, the full 100 gram skeins are 437 yards, divided by 4, you have the mini. We've done these in our whole palette, and we've put them together in some really fun matching colorways. And then we skeined them in this funky way that shows them all off, which I thought was just kind of
they look super cute, and I think it gives you a really nice sense of how they'll work together as colors. So, these are great for if you want to do some striping, or you want to add some color work to something. These are ideal. It's a beautiful fingering weight yarn that also plumps up beautifully when it is blocked and washed.
Obviously, you could combine it with the 100 gram skeins of the Happy really easily to play around with stripes.
Or a color work yoke or something like that. And the other thing is, as we move forward with this, we are going to develop some patterns that specifically use minis, so that we'll be putting them together in kits. So they're really only available either as these little 4-packs or in kits moving forward, because they are a little bit more fussy.
They are a little fussier to dye, a little fussier to prepare. We haven't even really quite figured out how we're going to label them yet, because our labels don't really fit on them.
We'll figure that out. But we're really excited to have them.
They're fun to play with.
Yeah.
And a really great entry point into this yarn base if you haven't tried it yet.
And then we have some projects that we are planning.
The last thing I wanted to talk about is how much fun I had this weekend. Lucky me, I got to host the 2 fabulous celebrity guest lecturers we had. On Saturday, we were joined by Alex Bird, who has written this gorgeous book, which came out last year with Liner Publishing, Traditions Revisited, Modern Estonian Knits. And so Alex, whose mother is Estonian and who grew up very much immersed in Estonian heritage and modern knitting, has created not only this gorgeous book, but also 2 fantastic workshops on Estonian knitting techniques. On Saturday morning, we enjoyed Rosamina, which is an inlay technique, which is used to beautiful effect in this book. And in these mittens, I'll bring this to demonstrate. These are the Hilja knits, Hilja. I'll write it down on the screen. This is a standalone pattern, and we had Andy knit these up for the shop to help sell the workshop, which really worked. As soon as you see this in person, you want to know how to do it. So that was a fantastic workshop. Alex also has really great video tutorials specific to all of these techniques that she's made herself, which come along with all of the patterns when you get them. So she has some really beautiful individual downloads too. And then in the afternoon, we learned about Baltic braids, of which there are many. And she said some of them can be pinpointed to like this one island using this one braid, which I love. And she's so knowledgeable about all this stuff. So if you ever get a chance to take a workshop with her, and I think including some virtual ones she's done, hop on, because they're great. So that was a huge amount of fun. And I'm already planning the projects that I want to make with this technique, but and most of her patterns involve a little bit of everything. A lot of her sweaters will have like braids on the trim and Rosamina in the main event.
And I think that's something Alex does really well, is balance using all these sort of ancient Estonian techniques with modern shapes. And I think that's what you find in the book and all of her patterns. And of course, since she was here, we were like, whoa. Can we please?
She signed it.
So this is our copy for us that we're keeping at this store, but she also signed the other copies we have. So if you order one now.
We have them in stock, and they are specially signed. And it really is a beautiful book that digs deep into the history of these techniques too, because Rosamina specifically, and maybe also the braid techniques, I don't quite remember, but this technique was just lost straight up for 100 years or more. Nobody was doing it. And then a master knitter, which is an official title in Estonia, of course, found photos and recreated how this technique must have been done. And
wow, I did not know that. That's amazing.
Alex's take on it is really fresh and new and unique in that she's bumping it up to like larger gauges so that we,
Use
modern knitting
sweaters.
today, that we can use it on sweaters. We're going to be knitting with like 3.5 to 5 millimeter needles instead of like 1 millimeter US 000 to get these really dense traditional fabrics. So I find that really inspiring. I don't know how close you've seen that because it's this fun like red on red technique, but do check out the pattern pages on Ravelry with all the photos for that book. And then Sunday I got to do a virtual class with Florence Sperling, and you've probably seen her crossing our feed if you follow us on Instagram, because we were fully inspired by this workshop to make kits for her Scout mini shawl. And since the workshop, I'm so ready to cast on my own, and I picked out another set of colors so that I will also make kits with, that is close to but different from the kit we have already that I'll link below, which is very much based on her original color palette. I wanted to go with something slightly different, but not so the same but different.
Yeah.
For my own personal project, just for something fresh. And I think these colors are just so fun and spring-like together. And this will be my immediate cast on. I really want to take my time choosing the right forever project for that Rosamina technique, because I know it will be extra work and I know it will be really worth my while, and I want to make sure that I pick the right thing and the right colors.
I think that's fair, because it's, you're going to be putting in the time and effort to master the technique. You want to really love what you're creating. And I didn't get to go to the class with Alex, but I did take the virtual Rosamina class with her a couple of years ago. So I feel like I didn't miss out on this one, but I really feel like I would like you to help me through these ones.
I'll show you some.
I was instead at an indoor playground with 900 birthday parties happening, as my daughter turned 8 while we were in New York City. So we had to obviously celebrate. So she managed to get like 2 weeks of birthday because it just kept dragging on.
This will be a pretty new thing for me too. It's combining Intasha and Farrell, which is what the class was on. It was a great class. Again, if you have a chance to take virtual classes with Florence, she's a fantastic instructor. So I've done Intasha separately, I've done Farrell separately.
Now it's time.
And this will be the
Make it all happen. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps us up. I'm excited that you have plans for knitting. My plans are to just finish the things that I'm knitting at the moment.
Well, you know me. Am I allowed a new cast on?
You are. I think you've actually been managing very well. You've been churning things out, and we have, as we've hinted that we have big plans. There's lots we're working on. I swear, actually knitting. I just can't show anything right now.
Very much so.
Yeah, we'll get back more on the regular schedule now that we've had our little New Year break.
Yeah.
And really excited to hopefully soon have some of these other secret projects that we can start talking to you guys about.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to seeing you in the comments, and let us know, what's your favorite thing that we brought in, and anything you're interested in knowing more about.
Have any questions, just pop them down below.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy knitting.